everybody, it's Miss Dawn with a story for you today, and this is called The Mitten, and it's adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. So she was the author and the illustrator. She wrote the words and drew the story. Look at what's going on there. Look at all those animals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, all staring at this one little mitten. Let's find out what happens in this story. Now I'm curious. Whoop. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. I wonder why. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally Baba made them. Let me just turn this a little bit so everybody can see a little better. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you have your snow white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Uh-oh, do you think Baba's going to be upset? A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside it. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. And to burrow means to dig down deep. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat, which means he was looking at himself and thinking he looked pretty. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, which means that they were moved around. But not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the hedgehog, and the rabbit grumbled. Brr. But when they saw his big glinty talons, which means they were shiny, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Do you think the mitten is going to fall apart? Do you think it's going to keep getting bigger? Do you see the stitching on the mitten? It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox came trotting by, stopping to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy, sleepy. The fox poked his muzzle in, and when the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. A great big bear lumbered by, so he walked real slow. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as they could, but what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched, pulled and bulged, so many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled onto the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the bear's great big nose. What do you think is going to happen next, guys? The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze, a big sneeze like, ah, 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 chew! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals all around the area. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he had his new mittens. Does this mitten look like it's the same size as this one, or does it look bigger? Let's find out. And look, it is bigger. How did that mitten get so much bigger? What was it that caused that mitten to get bigger? Yeah, the animals, they were all inside that mitten, and they made it get bigger. Now, what Baba did was she knitted the mitten with white yarn. So if you guys hold on one second. So what I have here is what looks like the start of Baba's mitten. See how it's got the rose and it's held tight, and it looks like the mitten and it's white like the mitten, like what the animals were in. And Baba knitted it using knitting needles and yarn. And let's see if Miss Dawn can do a real quick show you how it works. So you take the knitting needles and you slip them in to the little knot. Slip one in and then the other. Well, hold on. Miss Dawn's learning how to do this. I don't know how good it's going to be. Hold on. You slip it in and you take the yarn and kind of do something like, well, I'm trying. I'm learning just like you guys are. If you guys can knit at home, or if you know somebody who knits, maybe they can knit you a mitten or show you how to make something like this. And knitting is just using a pattern, in and out, in and out. All right, my loves, I want you to stay happy, healthy, and safe. I love and I miss you very much, and I'm very proud of how well you are learning, and I will talk to you soon. I love you. Bye.